Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:06 on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for tuning in here to O'Connor and Company. So we're going to get you where you need to go with some information, some analysis, and hopefully some fun, as we have three dynamic women joining us today throughout the morning, each fighting their own fight against a creeping Marxism in this country. It's 7:05. Author Katie Gorka with her brand new book, Next Gen Marxism. At 8:05, Xi Van Fleet, who fled Mao's Marxist China. She's got a book, Mao's America, A Survivor's Warning. And then at 7:35, Cheryl Riley is running for the 8th Congressional District in Maryland against our very own next-door neighbor Marxist, Representative Jamie Raskin. So there you go. Three women fighting the bad guys every day here in the greater Washington area. Just like you, Julie Gunlock.
That's right.
Always fighting off the
Good
lefty
morning.
pinko scum in our midst. That's Julie Gunlock. I am Larry O'Connor, and let's get you up to speed on the latest in Baltimore. The bridge collapse is about to have a very famous visitor because, you know, it's a mess up there. It's a disaster. Nothing's, you know, people can't get to work. People can't.
Yeah, and it's largely a Democrat area, so he cares more.
So Joe Biden is going to be there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's going to be there with Westmore. How much do you bet? At some point, he refers to Governor Westmore as Barack. I'm putting money on it right now.
Man. Man. They do look, tall, thin,
for Biden's perspective.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's gonna.
It might happen.
Karine Jean-Pierre said yesterday that he's continuing to lead a whole government approach to respond to the collapse.
They'll probably call him president. That's what
exactly. Could call him Kamala. So they're going to be there. We are with you, Baltimore, Karine Jean-Pierre said, and we will be there to get this done. How long did it take him to go to East Palestine, Ohio?
A year?
It's a state that votes Republican.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't care.
Yeah.
White working class? Nah.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, he's also trying to shore up. You know, this isn't. Listen, he's not going to lose Maryland. He will win Maryland in the Electoral College. But there is a very real concern right now about the so-called black vote. I don't like using those terms because I think all individuals are autonomous and they should be able to think a certain way no matter the black vote. What does that even mean? However, political experts do look at demographic trends.
Yes, they do.
And the fact of the matter is, if there is such a thing as a monolithic black vote, if, in fact, Democrats continue to lose support the way they have been in that group as well as Hispanic voters, they're dead in the water. They have done so much to bend over backwards to pander to them. And, well, you see this anecdotally all the time with men on the street interviews or women on the street interviews about how the black Americans are disaffected by the leadership that they've
just really
voted
quickly,
for.
I don't talk about this on the radio much, but I have so many people reaching out to me saying, you know, my cab driver was Hispanic or my cab driver was black. And they've had really interesting conversations. Because I never tell these stories because I always feel like when people say my kid, you know, said this, and it's like, that never happened.
And I'm literally shaking.
But I have received a lot of messages like this.
It's very real.
Really shocked by how people are anti-Biden.
Yeah, we're done with Biden. We're done with Biden. Time for him to go. Time for him to go.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, here's a good example right up in Baltimore.
You pay me to vote for a Democrat. Local, state, federal elections, I don't care what it is. You couldn't pay me to vote for one. You know why? Because they know that we, and I mean people whose skin color look like mine, they know that we vote party over interest. So after we vote, what do? They don't need us for anything. That's what they do. Year after year after year. I'm from Baltimore, and I go home at least twice a year to see family. Same abandoned homes, same crime rate. We haven't had a Republican mayor since the 60s. And look at our environment. The same can be said for Memphis. The same can be said for St. Louis. The same can be said for Detroit. The same can be said for a lot of these cities all over this country that have been led down the toilet by Democrats for decades. Stop voting party over interest and vote interest over party.
These people see their community centers turned into
shelters for illegal
immigrants so that their kids can't play soccer, so their kids can't go in and use the gym.
Yeah.
They see this. They see the school closures. They see that the lack of support for school choice that would give families like this the ability to transfer their children into schools that actually function. This man here is waking up, but I think people in general see the conditions of their cities, see services being taken away, and Democrats let it happen.
It's been going on for decades. The only difference is I think that this awakening now is starting to sort of resonate with them because the constant cry of, well, oh, sure, that may be true. You know, you're still living in squalor and you still got crime, but those Republicans are racist.
Yeah.
And so, and so when the choice is, voting for a racist or voting for the people who keep continuing to keep your life down, the difference is, though, somehow Trump got in there for just 4 years and they did see a difference. Yeah. These communities did see a turnaround. And, the shock of having to go back to Biden policies, I think, has really hurt them. In fact, if you don't, this is one dude who's sitting in his car who's putting up a video on Instagram. That isn't necessarily indicative of a huge shift, but it adds to the narrative that's out there with the polling numbers that we're seeing right now. It's adding to the narrative that we're seeing in community meetings in Chicago. As you said, the voters are very upset about the illegal immigrants taking the resources and facilities that are supposed to be in their communities. But you really want to hear a major indication that this cultural shift is real. This was Saturday Night Live this last weekend.
President Biden said Friday that he would visit the site of the Baltimore bridge collapse because, like that bridge, Biden is no longer connecting with black communities. You got to read the polls.
Wow.
So that's real because the audience wasn't sure how to react.
Well, and his colleague goes, "Wow, like, are we going there?"
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson's husband.
Yeah. Look at you. I didn't know that was her husband.
Oh, yeah. He's got a name, but we just refer to him as
Jost.
Scarlett Johansson's husband. Honestly, I mean, if I were Scarlett Johansson's husband, that's how I would introduce myself to everybody.
You get it changed on your birth certificate.
Hi, what's your name? Well, let me start with this. Scarlett Johansson, she calls me baby cakes. So that's enough for me. Who needs a name? So that's where we are right now. And so, this is going to be a desperate attempt. And again, it's not about Maryland, but it's about the image of him standing in Baltimore next to a black governor, and he will be surrounded by Baltimoreans who are there as members of the city council and what have you, showing that he's fixing this broken community. But I think I mean, listen, that's how you used to do it 30 years ago with your hard hat, and you'd walk around. Biden doesn't carry it off because he looks like an imbecile when he's doing it. But secondly, I'm sorry, I have more respect for the intelligence of voters because I think most people will not look at it as here comes the great Joe Biden there holding hands with black politicians to save the day. I think they're going to look at the rubble behind him in the city of Baltimore and see it as indicative of the disaster that every predominantly black city is in America right now. That collapsed bridge is exactly the collapse that they're seeing in their neighborhoods, and it's the Democrats' fault.
And I think the black folks in Baltimore will also see this as, he's come here very quickly, but he couldn't go to East Palestine and stand with the working class folks in that community. Yeah. He couldn't go to the border and talk to the folks in that community because all he cares about is a certain voting blocks. And that's what makes it so cynical.
Well, and hopefully they'll also say, great that you're here for the collapsed bridge. Why aren't you here for our collapsed curriculum?
Yes.
Why aren't you here for our collapsed schools? Why aren't you here
yes.
for our collapsed neighborhoods?
Yes.
Why aren't you here for all of the things that are collapsing around us? It is 6:15
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
News is brought to you by New Look Home Design.
Need a new roof? Honor, respect, and trust your home with Valor. Visit valorhome.com.
Miss anything? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Get today's breaking news on the Vince Colonnese Show, weekdays 3 to 6, right here on WMAL.
We do hate April Fool's Day, as we mentioned yesterday, but that didn't stop people from... I saw one funny April Fool's joke. A guy who has like a mini podcast empire, that David, you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Anyway, he's a conservative, or right of center at least. And he does these video podcasts mostly on YouTube and on X. And he put out a big announcement that after it said, had a big picture of Don Lemon. And it said, after his stunning and brave interview with Elon Musk, we have now signed Don Lemon to a new show.
That's awesome.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Everything else yesterday was stupid, including this attempt by Karine Jean-Pierre for an April Fool's joke.
Oh, hello, everybody. Happy Easter Monday. So I have something at the top for all of you. I think you'll be really interested in this. So President Biden is scheduled to announce he is revoking the Hatch Act. So as a gift to all of you, so now I can actually take all your questions about 2024. No? I thought you would love that. All right, okay. April Fools. It is April 1st. Thank you. I thought it was pretty slick of me. Thank you.
Ugh.
I don't know who I hate more, her or the reporters.
I think that was that April woman. Look,
April Ryan?
Yeah, I think it was.
She's an April Fool every day of the year.
Funny people, or not, unfunny people should not attempt these things.
Yeah.
Karine Jean-Pierre is not funny. She should just stick to being a straight man.
Well,
Don't go anywhere with that.
I don't think that's
I
accurate in any
know.
way whatsoever.
Okay.
She's neither straight
I
nor
knew
a man.
The minute I said it, you were gonna.
Okay, National Mall, I thought had a pretty funny one. The National Park Service, they put out a tweet. You know how the Washington Monument is two-toned, right? The bricks are a certain color up until one spot,
Yes,
and then
'cause
it's
of the
darker.
Civil War, yep.
Because of the Civil
That's
War.
right.
Everybody knows that.
Not everybody.
So they put this tweet out. They said, we're often asked why there's a color change in the stone of the Washington Monument. The color change marks how far the towering monument was lowered underground every night in the 1940s to help planes avoid it after National Airport opened. That's clever. That's actually rather creative.
That is. I love it.
I do love that somebody actually admitted, well, you got me with this one. Don't let people know how naive you are like that. That is.
I'll admit, I could see totally believing that if I didn't know the actual reason.
Watching the monument is on a giant elevator.
Gosh. And then calling the kids over, guys.
Part of the homeschooling curriculum at the Gunlock house.
I'm a little gullible.
What you actually pulled not this year, but you've pulled
I'm very
April Fool pranks
and I'm
on
really
your
mad at
children.
To be honest with you, I'm so mad at myself. Two of my kids are visiting their grandparents, and it was a great opportunity to say something like, "You'll never come home." Right?
That's kind of cruel.
Can you imagine?
Like change your number. No,
done
change
so
the
much with that.
voicemail on your
Yeah,
phone to somebody in Spanish. No está aquí.
I wish I did something. So no, I am disappointed with myself for not thinking of that. I might do it anyway today. Just who cares?
Just a retroactive April Fool's
They don't
joke.
really know it's April 2nd. Anyway,
Easter fell on April 1st one year,
Yes,
which, by
one
the way,
year.
is not Transgender Visibility Day. So we
Right.
dodged a bullet that time.
yes, it happened a couple years ago. Well, probably 5 years ago. It landed on April 1st. So this was actually my husband's idea. I thought it was mine, but it was actually his. I bought extra baskets and filled them with all vegetables and put them out on we have a sort of table.
The Easter
kitchen
Bunny
table.
brought you rutabagas.
Yeah, so they all got up, and I mean, it was awful vegetables like Brussels sprouts and stuff like that. And they got up, they ran downstairs, and this was what greeted them. And I was like, guys, and I had a whole lecture. I said, we have to start eating healthier. You know, I don't really think candy's good for your teeth. And then I could see they were about to well up, and I brought out their real
Their chocolate.
Yes.
Gave them their sugar rush.
Yes, but I was very proud of that.
You have a very, very cruel.
A little bit.
cruel streak in you.
I don't know. It's cruel.
I don't think that's news to anyone listening to this program.
You should trick your kids while they're still little and gullible, and you should. It's fun.
It's true, and let's face it. When you have Alzheimer's, they'll be doing it to you, and you won't even know it. It's 6:22.
Oh.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37. Look at that. Here in your nation's capital. Thanks for tuning in to O'Connor and Company. It's America's morning show. Got you covered with all the news, entertainment, and commentary that you're looking for as you start your day the right way. Coming up later this morning, we've got a host of three incredible women joining us, starting at 7:05 with Katie Gorka. She's got a brand new book called Next Gen Marxism. At 7:35, Cheryl Riley is going to try to defeat Jamie Raskin. And boy, I'm sorry, I honestly, if she does that, I would pledge my undying devotion. I'll be her slave. If she can beat Jamie Raskin, I will dedicate myself to whatever she needs for the next year.
We're live on air right now.
Oh, it's awkward.
Yeah.
At 8:05, She Van Fleet has got a brand new book, Mao's America, A Survivor's Warning. So those are three strong, patriotic women who are defeating Marxism in our midst. And Marxism, which is even worse sometimes, depending on your perspective. I'm Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. So Joe Biden had his Easter Day yesterday.
Yes, Easter Day.
Oh, no. We can't play the Peter Cottontail song. He's very frightened of the big rabbit.
Yes.
Remember when the big rabbit scared him when he was... He's got issues with the whole Easter thing. I think part of that is because, he's an apostate.
Yes.
As a cafeteria Catholic, as his cardinal called him, which is a major criticism that we were able to highlight for you yesterday. So let me give you some highlights of Joe Biden. Let's just be clear here. As we already know, Joe Biden lacks the mental capacity to defend himself in a trial.
To tie his shoes.
Yeah, exactly. He's wearing the comfy Velcro shoes
That's
with
right.
a little extra heel in the back to stabilize him so he doesn't fall down.
Yes.
So it's, every single day is a challenge for this man going up the short stairs at Air Force One. But I think of all the days on the calendar, Easter egg roll day at the White House, or as we like to call it, the day after Trans Visibility Day.
Right.
Should be one of the easier days on the calendar. I mean, the man shows up. He's got
on the balcony.
He stands on the balcony, says a few words. He talks to Al Roker.
A furry standing
and then he
next to
goes,
him.
hangs around and watches kids knuckle an egg across the lawn.
Right.
What?
This is not hard.
Not a lot of heavy lifting. So here he is with Al Roker again. All he's got to do is say, it's so great to be here and to open up the People's House to the children. These are children of our military, and we're just going to have a beautiful day here. Couldn't even do that.
What's your message to people about why they've got to engage?
Oh, wait. Here, I'll get to that in a second.
But, okay, fine.
What is so special about this egg roll?
Well, what's so special is this is the People's House.
What?
And we expect over 40,000 people to be here. It's the largest ever. And
I think it's really sweet. So apparently there were some Hungarian
Marbles in
refugee
his
children
mouth?
and so he decided to deliver the message in Hungarian or some kind of Slavic tongue.
I thought he had candy in his mouth.
No,
Hard
well,
candies.
no.
Many
He was just being really courteous to the young children whose English is their second language.
so this is the People's House.
Seriously.
What?
If there was one of the translators for the deaf standing next to him doing sign language, he'd be like, I got nothing. Just his hands up in the air. Your guess is as good as mine. Good luck reading the lips, guys. I don't know. Hey, Mr. President, what are you going to do today?
So this is the People's House.
As my father used to say, if I would mumble at the kitchen table, he would say, you sound like a poop salesman with a mouthful of samples.
No.
Although he did not use the word poop. All right, and then Al Roker asked him, "What's your message to the American people on this holiest of holy days, Transgender Visibility Day?"
What's your message to people about why they've got to engage and get out there to vote?
Well, I think people are going to surprise people again. They're going to engage. An overwhelming response when we're out on the road. Look, we have tens of thousands of people contributing $5-10 a pop. We've opened up 100 headquarters. We have people waiting to just get engaged. I mean, I just think people are so tired of the negativity.
People are tired of the negativity out there, especially those fascists who are trying to destroy our democracy. What a guy. What a guy. Can we... and then he went up to the balcony. He does the whole, Mussolini on the balcony thing, little Eva Perón, don't cry for me, that whole deal. And he delivers the message. And then something weird happened because he did a shout out. We know that he's terrified of the Easter Bunny.
Yes.
And so he got a little off kilter.
And I'm coming down to do that Easter egg roll in just a minute. Thank you all so very, very much. Thanks, everybody. And by the way, say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on up, bunnies. Get up here so they can see you.
Oyster bunnies? What's an oyster bunny?
You'll have to ask Mushmouth. I have no idea.
Hey, say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on.
It's a stutter, Julie.
It's a stutter.
He's had a lifelong stutter. Leave the man alone. Stop making that. Can't you hear the stutter? Come on.
And by the way, say hello to oyster bunnies.
Oyster bunnies.
Yeah, well, I couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. I mean, the only other thing to say at this point is...
this is the people's house.
We are so screwed.
This is the people's house.
It's your president of the United States yesterday doing the light lifting, the easiest part of his job, just welcoming news anchors like Al Roker, and he can't quite get through that.
Al Roker. I mean, could there be an easier interviewer?
Maybe Don Lemon. So then CBS got their turn. And again, all the softball questions. And the question was, what are your favorite memories in the White House? Which is actually, if you think about it, a bit of a gotcha question, because we know he has no memory. He can't remember anything.
True.
So, I mean, I wouldn't be that. What are your favorite memories in the White House? And Biden says, White House? I was there when Reagan was president once. I remember visiting. And then who was that black fella? MLK? Was he president? What was his name? I remember I was there a few times. See, so this was actually a very tough question from CBS. But the answer, considering sort of the book on Joe Biden and his interactions with children.
His daughter's diary.
And his daughter's diary. His answer,
sniffing.
His answer would normally be a very lovely, innocent grandpa answer. But knowing everything we know about the Biden family. Yeah, here, take a listen.
I don't know what the future holds, but what are your favorite memories about this place?
Our kids jumping in bed with us, our grandkids, when they're down here. Just sneaking up and jumping in bed with us. That's my favorite memory here. They love it.
And then we all took a shower.
That is... So, I mean, I'm just cringing.
I know. Yeah. I also just get...
Does no one tell him what's said about him?
Yeah, no.
And just all of the,
if they do, he doesn't remember.
Mr. President, there's a whole lot of pictures of you being a little too aggressively touchy and handsy with little children and smelling them.
It's funny. My reaction to this immediately was the grandchild that he ignores.
That he refuses to
acknowledge. What I can't stand is this invocation of him being this great grandfather and this great family man, when we know he's a horrible, cruel man who is happy to ignore his youngest granddaughter.
Just because of the accident of her conception.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's a devout Catholic,
Oh, yeah.
That's how
really
Catholics
good guy.
are, yeah. Here's Joe Biden reminiscing on his favorite memories of being in the White House.
I don't know what the future holds, but what are your favorite memories about this place?
Our kids jumping in bed with us, our grandkids, when they're down here. Just sneaking up and jumping in bed with us. That's my favorite memory here. They love it.
Let's just let that sit there for a minute. It's just of
the grandkids we approve of.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about the brouhaha, and it was a legitimate brouhaha over the deliberate decision to conjoin Transgender Visibility Day and Easter. And by the way, it's more than that. The emphasis on Transgender Visibility Day.
The first statement out of the White House.
Oh, you saw it yesterday. Yes. And the deliberate decision to not say anything about Transgender Visibility Day on the Spanish language Twitter feed.
Of course,
but all over the English feed.
That was remarkable. And I will tell you, if I can just say this.
It in 30 seconds.
But they act like, it's Easter versus transgender. I mean, as if transgender awareness or visibility day is old as Easter, right? I mean,
we can't touch that.
It's not a real holiday, folks.
Yes, I know. Have you seen the person who came up with it?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, exactly. No, something tells me Easter's been around for, I don't know, 2 millennia?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, so here's Karine Jean-Pierre.
So the criticism over the Transgender Day of Visibility, the White House said that the president wouldn't abuse his faith for political purposes. Does the president think that's what Republicans are doing on this issue?
I mean, look, just a couple of things, and really so surprised by the misinformation that's been.
Oh, I'm not going to even let her do it. I'm not going to let her do it. Misinformation. It's all misinformation. We have no power over these things. It just happened to fall on the same day. You're the president. You can say, you know what, let's give it a rest. In fact, Ann Coulter, God bless her tweet, I'll clean it up for the air, but she said, when is trans people give it a rest for a GD minute day?
She's He's got some Joan Rivers vibes going there.
Okay, can we just give it a rest, please?
Everybody calm down.
This year, my favorite one, though, was Joe Biden himself was actually asked about this, about the fact that Speaker Johnson criticized him for putting the
Transgender Awareness Day on
Transgender Awareness Day on the same day as Easter. Here is Phil Wegman is reporting that apparently he said, he responded and said, I didn't do that.
I didn't do that.
Joe Biden said, I didn't do that.
Could there be a more juvenile response? I didn't do that. That's like my kid.
And then a follow-up question. Well, Speaker Johnson says that you made this proclamation. And why does it have to be Speaker Johnson? We all saw the proclamation.
Yeah.
And the president said, well, he's thoroughly misinformed. Someone in this equation is misinformed. But I think it's the guy who
what
put
about the
his
statement you
put his
yes.
name on the proclamation of Trans Visibility Day. It is 6:52 now.